Once upon a time, nestled between emerald valleys and sapphire rivers, there was a kingdom called Zarnagar. It was a land of golden harvests, melodious winds, and people whose hearts beat in rhythm with the harmony of nature. Yet towering above all this beauty stood the magnificent palace of white marble, where King Aftab ruled with justice and wisdom. King Aftab was known across 7 kingdoms for his fairness, but he was even more famous for his daughter, Princess Mehvish. Her beauty was often compared to the full moon on a winter night, and her eyes sparkled like twin stars in a dark sky. From childhood, Mehvish was taught the arts of literature, warfare, diplomacy, and music. She could argue with scholars and fence with warriors, but despite her many gifts, there was one flaw that grew with her: pride. Pride not of ignorance, but of entitlement. Raised in luxury and surrounded by constant praise, Mehvish grew to look down upon simplicity. She saw no wisdom in farmers, no elegance in the poor, and no beauty in the humble creations of nature. To her, worth was measured in gold, titles, and beauty. One spring morning, as the palace gardens bloomed with roses and jasmine, a strange event occurred. A lone peacock appeared at the queen's fountain. Unlike any other bird, this peacock shimmered in divine hues. Gold, turquoise, emerald, and violet flowed through its feathers like liquid magic. It came each day at sunrise and danced in a circle thrice before vanishing into the woods. The gardeners were puzzled, the priests intrigued. Princess Mehvish initially ignored it, considering it just another creature desperate for admiration. But as days turned into weeks, the peacock's dance became more intense, almost as if it was trying to communicate something. Royal priests declared, "This is no ordinary bird. It carries a divine aura, perhaps a messenger, perhaps a guardian." King Aftab observed in silence, for the bird's arrival reminded him of an old prophecy whispered to him as a young prince. Decades ago, during a pilgrimage to the northern shrine, an old sage had placed a hand on Aftab's shoulder and said, "Your bloodline will be tested by pride. The savior shall be a creature of feathers and fire, and the one who dances in silence shall reveal the truth." Aftab had long forgotten those cryptic words. Until now. The peacock's daily appearance and silent ritual felt eerily familiar. He summoned the oldest priest in the kingdom, who confirmed his fears. "Your daughter's path is entwined with the bird. What seems absurd to eyes of gold is wisdom to eyes of dust." "But she is proud," said the king. "All the more reason," the priest whispered. Mehvish was nearing her 20th birthday. Suitors from far-off lands came bearing treasures, promises, and kingdoms, but none pleased her. "This one's nose is crooked," she mocked. "That one's kingdom is smaller than our stables." One day, a prince from the east offered her a dress sewn with stars and a horse that ran faster than the wind. He had conquered lands and spoken to dragons, or so he claimed. Mehvish was pleased, but King Aftab was not. He invited the prince to the court and asked, "What would you do if your people were starving and the royal kitchens were full?" The prince answered, "They should learn to earn their bread. The strong must lead, the weak must follow." Aftab rejected him that instant. Each suitor faced a test: kindness to the poor, respect for the old, humility with servants. All failed. Mehvish grew frustrated. "Do you wish me to marry a beggar, father?" she shouted. "No," he said softly, "but perhaps a peacock." The court gasped. Mehvish turned pale. "You jest, father. I speak the will of the heavens." The royal priest stepped forward and read from an ancient scroll. The daughter of Zarnagar must walk the path of humility with the one who dances in silence. The peacock appeared, as if on cue, and bowed before Mehvish. "It is madness," she cried. "This is not a groom, it is a beast." The king's decision was final. And so, amidst disbelief and silent whispers, the royal wedding was held. The bride wore gold. The groom shimmered in feathers. The peacock took Mehvish on his back and flew into the deep forests. They flew across deserts, over rivers, and into mountains. Days passed. Mehvish wept, screamed, cursed, but the peacock said nothing. At night, he brought her fruits. In rain, he covered her with his wings. When she fell ill, he stayed beside her. They reached a small village where people lived in mud huts but shared bread with joy. A blind girl touched Mehvish's hand and said, "Your heart is full of storm. Let it rain and cleanse." In that village, Mehvish saw love without condition. She saw a boy share his only blanket with a stray dog. She saw a mother feed a beggar before her children. And slowly, the fortress of pride began to crack. The peacock led her to a temple of silence. There, monks meditated under waterfalls. Mehvish joined them. She saw visions, her own arrogance, her cruel laughter, her hollow pride. She cried for the first time, not for loss, but for awakening. One morning, as they sat by a lotus pond, Mehvish looked into the peacock's eyes and said, "I understand now. You are not a beast, you are my mirror." As her tear dropped onto his feathers, light engulfed the forest. The peacock transformed into a radiant being, half man, half divine. "I was cursed," he said, "for I too had once been proud. Only the purity of another's awakening could set me free." "Who are you?" Mehvish asked. "I am no prince. I am truth. I am the soul forgotten in the chase for thrones, and now you are free too." When Mehvish returned, she was unrecognizable, not in appearance, but in presence. She walked barefoot, spoke gently, and smiled with her soul. Thanks for watching and subscribe our YouTube channel, Real Voice Tales, and hit the bell icon for more videos.